Hey guys, it's Bina, and in today's video, I'll go over my Lightning Blast character and my plans for it. But first, let's watch what just happened to me. Yeah, let's just watch this. I was farming this Rune Prison Complex, trying to get my Spark belt, my Spark Champion belt. And as you can see, I'm fairly tanky, doing okay. And then, suddenly, the game decides that it doesn't want me to play anymore. And my character is not responsive anymore. I sort of see my ward going down. I sort of see, like, I exit here. And yes, I'm dead. So it's not my fault. Just the game didn't want me to play the game. And here we are. I'm going to go over this because the build is actually really, really nice. This is a build that I had planned to build prior to the 1.2 patch. But it wasn't quite in a state that I liked. You know, it's not crazy damage. It wasn't crazy tankiness. I found a little bit of new tech here with Pale Ox and mirror images. But this is very similar. Actually, what made me even more... what made me want to like go take a second look at this even more was I saw that Big Daddy cleared Uber Aberoth on a Sork version of Spark Charge Lightning Blast. And I was like, wait, he cleared Uber Aberoth on Spark Charges? Because the build doesn't actually do that much damage, so to pilot the build into clearing Uber Aberoth requires quite a bit of skill. So yeah, congratulations to him. I know it took him like quite a few attempts. I think he's had like something like 900 attempts to clear it, but still, I mean, doing it is actually amazing. And yeah, I want to go over this version here. So I am a Runemaster. We are using Lightning Blast scaling Spark Charges with Fragment of the Enigma. Let's just go into a map here real quick and showcase it. Unfortunately, my character has one death because, I mean, this is hardcore. I actually disabled chat. This was hardcore, so I lost... there are two pieces of gear that I really don't like having lost. But this is the basic of the gear. You basically just move and teleport around, apply spark charges around you, and press right click to lightning blasting. So it's a very fun build. Lots of people have been asking me for a build planner, a build guide. Is there going to be a guide for this? So maybe, maybe not. We'll see. We'll have to talk about it with the rest of the team. I think this is a build that would possibly be in like either at the top of B tier or at the bottom of A. Something around there. It's fairly powerful, but like not oppressive, and it's fairly tanky, but not overly tanky. So it's a very balanced build that plays quite well. Doesn't have much issues with anything. It's not the tankiest, not the most damage. It's a fine and fun build. I think it's a pretty good build. But yeah, so I'm gonna give you guys my planner and. Obviously, it's not fully min-max. I was still playing with this. It is maybe like 90% close to being min-max, I think. But this is like the basic playstyle of it. Maybe I can go showcase a little boss here or something like that. Is there a boss?
Yes.
Can I get to a boss? I don't have any crafting material because I don't play softcore, right?
Okay.
Well, no crafting material. Wait, maybe I have just enough. Let's see. Do I have just enough? Well, I think I don't have any, Oh, wait, we have one. Okay, 191 added. Ah, we're so close. Anyways, so I can't really showcase the boss, but this is basically it. Same thing, right? We use Cold Fire Cold, so Raven's Frostguard. This was once giving us, in a previous patch, a 30% damage reduction on top of the ward per second and everything per intelligence. So because we're scaling intelligence with to scale Fragment of the Enigma's Spark Charges, Raven's Frostguard makes a lot of sense. And so you press it, it gives you a burst of ward, and then gives you quite a bit of ward per second based on how much intelligence that you have, right? So currently I only have 101. My gear was still not, you know, quite there yet. Although it is fairly decent gear, right? Nothing like exceptional about it. I guess my Nihilist was like really, really strong. That might be my strongest piece here. With +2 skills, 50 mana regen, 13 more armor, positive res, very low health loss when you use evade, 8 movement speed. Like just amazing Nihilist for 1 LP. But the rest of my gear was pretty basic, like only 3% base crit here, 3% base crit here. Like basically this is a 1 LP Mad Alchemist Ladle because I only care about the spell crit chance. Mantle of the Pale Ox, we'll go over this quite soon. But as you can see, my gear was nothing too crazy. I know they just recently nerfed the imprints for Red Ring of, well, all of the imprints basically for uniques. So Red Rings is going to be harder to get. But in COF, it is still very easy to get Red Rings with Prophecies. So this is not something that is not obtainable, you know, somewhat easily. Especially 3 weeks into the league, right? So nothing too crazy. I have a few idols for crit avoidance, a few idols for resistances and stuff like that. But let's go into what makes the build click. So you're scaling spark charges and getting the big more multiplier with Mad Alchemist Ladle. We're going into Lightning Blast. So Lightning Blast, the big part of it is that it gets spark charge damage multiplier. So it is a very good way of applying spark charges. And because Lightning Blast chains so many times with the convergence node, you can get this to apply quite a bit, right? You have 30% chance on hit, plus a 12% chance to apply it on the catalyst. So you're at 42% chance to apply a spark charge. So that is the main thing about Lightning Blast. We are grabbing like more chains here. We'll go... Actually, I can talk about the chains. So Lightning Blast, this patch, got a buff. So it's now able to chain by default up to 2 times, right? So that is 2 extra chains. So then if you add 2 chains here and go here, convergence makes your chains now hit the same target instead of multiple different targets. So if you do not have convergence, your Lightning Blast will chain between different monsters. Do I have the dummy area here unlocked? I do have the dummy area. So I'm just gonna go ahead and show you guys what it's like. Oops. But Lightning Blast chains between different enemies when it is not spec'd into convergence. And when you spec into convergence, all of those chains actually go ahead and chain to the same target. So as you can see here, my Lightning Blast, it only chains to the first training dummy and not to the other one, right? So that is the reason why we take convergence, is to have a good single target, because the spark charges will deal quite a bit of damage in an AoE. And so, of course, we are also applying them with teleport, because when you cast teleport, you apply a spark charge. Even though they don't get the more multiplier, this is still a very, very good way of you know, killing many monsters. Packs of monsters are just really jam-packed together because spark charges will shotgun one another. But we're going into here. So there is a certain amount of chains that you want for convergence to be good. So basically, you always want to be on a number that is what do you call this? Odd number, because it always will round up. So if you have, like, for example, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 chains here, right? I have 7 chains, so I will always get 7 divided by 2, it's 3.5. Rounded up, it's 4. So I will get 4 extra chains, so 5 hits with convergence. Of course, that's not counting the 4 additional that you get on your Spark Champion belt, but that is going to be for something else. It's just, you know, you always get this no matter what. And because this is always chained 4 additional times, it really doesn't matter how many you have here. So I'm getting 7. And the reason why I'm not going for any extra points in here or here is because this extra point would not do anything else for me, because I wouldn't be at a... I would go from, like, being at 3.5 to 4. So I have the exact same number of chains with convergence. And then if I put 1 point here and 1 point here, then it's much, much, much harder to sustain mana. And so it makes it, you know, because we're scaling Ward with Twisted Heart, it's... You want to scale cast speed as much as possible, and you don't want to have any mana problems. So that is why it would be about slightly less than 20% more damage, because we're also getting the chance for Lightning Blast on the belt. So not speccing these two gives us, you know, maybe around 17%. I would have to run the math again. It was around that. So you're losing 17%, but you're getting all the benefits from being able to cast Lightning Blast as much as you want and not have any mana problem. So that is it for Lightning Blast here. We're grabbing the extra double chance to double cast, chance to quadruple cast. We don't care about any of the more multipliers for Lightning Blast itself because we're only getting Spark Charges. And Spark Charges, they don't inherit the more multipliers of the skill that applies it because this is just an element. It's separate. It has its own thing. So it's only scales. It's flat damage based on your spell damage, the lightning damage per, for Spark Charge per int, and any more multipliers that would apply that is generic and not from the Lightning Blast skill that applies, right? Final Spark, this one is, so there's a few nodes here. Let's talk about, okay, let's talk about this first. Final Spark, this one makes it so that your Spark Charges will detonate faster. It's not required, but it's just a nice to have if you have the points. I would probably remove either this or, this one is really not needed. I currently have a +4 Lightning Blast Prismatic Gaze. I would probably go for a tier 7 Intelligence here instead, and only +2 Lightning Blast. So the points that you want to remove are going to be this one, possibly one in Lightning Attunement, because you might only need one for Lightning Aegis, which gives you a 25% less damage taken buff, and also 50% increased lightning damage. So this one is pretty good, but Lightning Aegis is not insanely it's not insanely reliable, because it says if you lose a portion of your health, when you lose 25% of your health, you lose the buff, right? But it's not only your health, it's 25% of your health or 25% of the value of your health, even on your ward. Not sure if this is a bug or not, but that is how it is. And then you have this note here, Innate Conduit. Out of mana cost is 0, but cannot chain. So this one, for some reason, does work with Convergence. So even though it says it cannot chain, and Convergence says that it chains to a single target, this one still works with Convergence. So you could be still casting and having the same DPS with Convergence if you take Innate Conduit. It is a bug. I've reported it. You know, eventually will get fixed. I'm not grabbing this one. But yeah, so this is basically the Lightning Blast tree. So it's what we're doing. It's our main way of dealing damage, especially for a single target. Runic Invocation. We are a Runemaster. We're using this only to cast Cold Fire Cold. Cold Fire Cold is the one that will give us quite a bit of ward, and it also gives us a burst of ward as we cast it. Okay, so my tree is kind of screwed because I lost some points here, but in the planner it's going to be all good. The main thing you want is immutable order. So this makes it so that you accumulate runes based on the order of the skills on your bar. And so you might be saying, Bina, Lightning Blast is lightning. How are you getting Cold Fire Cold? Well, it's because I'm making my Flame Ward cold. I am making my Frost Wall. Where's Frost Wall? Fire. And my Lightning Blast, I am making it cold by putting 1 point in Rune of Winter in the Mage tree. So this one converts Lightning Blast to cold. That makes it so that I get cold, fire. It will skip Runic Invocation because it's the thing itself, and cold. There is another setup that you could be doing with Flame Rush instead of Teleport, but I do think that Teleport is the better option, especially with the new mirror image stuff that we're doing here, which we will cover very soon. So Runic Invocation for Cold Fire Cold, pretty basic. The most important thing here is this thing here and getting the cooldown. On Teleport, we're using Teleport for various different things. So with Frost Wall, we'll get access to haste. So when you go through your Frost Wall, you get haste, and then as you teleport around, it will refresh the buff with the longer duration, because this one has a 4-second haste duration. And if you can get Teleport to be below 4 seconds cooldown, then you have perma haste so long as you teleport on time. So Teleport gives you various buffs: armor, cold res, fire res, lightning res, and stun avoidance. So these are very, very good. You get the stat buff duration, so it lasts a little bit longer. It won't make the haste last longer, but it will make the armor and cold res and stuff like that last longer. But it's longer than the cooldown of Teleport. And then we go to this right side to get mirror images. So here is the point where we need to talk about another bug with mirror images with Mantle of the Pale Ox. if you take damage, this is something I've tested only yesterday, so I did not notice prior to making this character. This is another bug that I've reported, but Metal of the Pale Ox, when you take damage to ward, it does not redirect damage to your minions, but you still get the damage reduction. So only if you take damage to your health pool will it redirect the damage to your highest health minion and damage them, and you get the damage reduction. But no matter what, so this means that if you take damage to ward with Metal of the Pale Ox, your minions will not get any damage. So it's just stronger than I thought. I initially thought that because the minion didn't take damage, we did not get the DR, but I've tested this again this morning, and we do get the DR from it. So we get the damage reduction, so there's no real downside. But even if our mirror images would take damage, I would still absolutely take this. You can sustain more than 6 mirror images, and possibly even more, because of I'm not grabbing. You see, I'm grabbing some poison here for water retention. You could grab even more mirror images on arrival, so you would get even a bigger amount of minions to be able to get damage redirected from Metal of the Pale Ox. So very nice mirror images, Pale Ox. This is a great tanky option. You get Pale Ox just has like such insane stats with move speed, strength. Strength is percent armor, so it actually gives you more armor than like another piece of armor that would give you, you know, maybe like 200 flat armor instead. So very, very good. Very easy to get with 2 LP as well. So quite nice. So that pretty much covers teleport, which also applies to spark charges, right? Flame ward, pretty basic tree here. We're grabbing the second charge, all of the damage reduction, the duration, and then we're going for cold to get cold fire cold, and then we're grabbing the armor to get even more damage reduction when we are using flame ward. So that is flame ward. Frost wall. Frost wall, we're grabbing for a couple of different things. First, element cleansing. So if you're ever in trouble, you can just cast a frost wall, pass through it. It will cleanse any elements on you. It's also giving you haste, as we talked about, to refresh with teleport. It is also giving you ward and mana gain. So say that you are, you know, somewhat out of mana or something. Well, not out of mana, but like if you pass through your frost wall, it doesn't really consume that much mana because you do get quite a bit of mana back with it. We get 14% more damage for everything, basically, with Chill Touch. So this is one that you can see here, the little icon here. So as long as you have this, you have 40% more damage. We are also getting a brand of Trespass on enemy pass-through. So what this is giving us access to more spell damage with branded bosses and rare enemies. So that is also going to apply to the spark charges, and this is also going to give us a ward gain versus branded bosses because we have so many hits. It's going to be really good. So this is why we're grabbing this. We are going to this side. So this side will make it cast basically Lightning Blast. So not only does it give you all of these other buffs, but it also acts as sort of like a totem or a ballista or whatever you want to call it. It will actually shoot Lightning Blast at enemies. So this might not seem like a lot, but it actually does work quite well. And if you pass through it, it applies it right away, right? It applies more, right? So only with your frost wall, this can be really, really strong to boost your damage versus like tanky rares, champions, bosses, stuff like that. Keep in mind, this does consume some mana cost for Lightning Blast. So using it too often, or you know, spamming it or something like that, it might put you in trouble for mana. But the good thing is that we're stacking int, and Mad Alchemist Ladle gives us mana gain on potion use per 4 int. So even if you are sort of like out of mana and you can't really cast anything else, you just spam your potions and you get your mana back, right? So during mapping, that's gonna be very, very strong. That pretty much covers it for Frostwall. Now, if we go into the passive tree, we're grabbing as much intelligence as possible. We are doing something with reactive ward here. Reactive ward, when you drop below 70% of your health, you get a burst of ward based on your maximum health. It has initially a 12-second cooldown, but we can get this down quite a bit with -6 seconds, so every 6 seconds. And we're also granted water retention here. So this has a nice interaction with Twisted Heart of Eucharos. So because Twisted Heart will consume a portion of your health and convert it to ward, you can actually proc this reactive ward quite often when you are fighting, right? So you'll go like this, boom, 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 and you see here I got below 70%, and we got our ward, right? So it's basically between packs of monsters. Here, like, because these dummies are not really dying, it's kind of hard to see. But let's say I go here, I do this, boom. You see my burst of ward here that I got? And then as you engage a pack of monsters, your main form of defense is going to be ward. You're going to lose some health, but because you have some health leech, you're going to leech it back. You're also going to leech it back to be able to produce more ward with Twisted Heart. That is going to be a very, very good way of, you know, proccing this every 6 seconds, basically. Reactive ward. So int, reactive ward, ward retention, converting to cold, and then some cast speed. In the sorcerer tree, these 5 points are the most important. 3% increased spell critical strike chance per int. That's going to make you able to cap your critical strike chance alongside a 4% prismatic gaze and a 4% grasp of the blood mage, which I do not have right now. I have both of them are 3%. So my spell crit is actually not capped right now. I was working on this until I died. Cast speed per stack of arcane momentum, and also gives you, this one is very efficient at giving you increased spell damage, which the build kind of lacks a little bit here. So increased spell damage and also movement speed at maximum stacks. Movement speed, best stat in the entire game. 2 points in Runemaster for the shock chance. Shock chance, you want to get it. You want to get as much as possible to be able to max out the stacks. So I'm getting 2 points here and 1 point in the Runemaster tree, because this one is 1 point for 10%, and these are only 5%. So 2 points here. This is for the lightning penetration and lightning leech. So this is gonna make you leech your health quite nicely. In the Runemaster tree, I'm grabbing 8 point in series of protection, less damage taken. Of course, this is a must-have on any build maxed out. If you are not taking this, I think it's I don't know. I mean, softcore could be okay, but I guess in any situation where you want to survive, this is pretty much mandatory. So these points, I'm not sure, okay? Like, increased cast speed, or like, we are not proccing the mana burst or ward burst because we're not using any 0 mana cost skills. These are kind of like flexible, whether you want to put them in cast speed or int, and ward on direct spell cast. But then you have, yeah, also these points would probably be better here. It's because I was using less damage from crits initially, and I did respec to crit avoidance instead. So yeah, in the actual planner down below, it will be properly done. But here we have intelligence. So basically these are int nodes. 1 for the shock chance, 1 point here just to get to the cast speed and move speed after using a traversal skill, which is going to be teleport. Again, movement speed, the best thing in the game. Crit multi with a wand. More damage to bosses and rare, doubled when you have a raw rune, which we have because we have called fire cold, and raw is fire. 8 points here to get the cooldown recovery speed per int because we're scaling int. 1 point here because we are cold, right? Our lightning blast is cold. This is just a cosmetic, right? If I remove it, it is cold, right? 4 points to get the ward gain on crit, and also this is a more multiplier for your crit multi. We're trying to stack crit multi as much as possible to get a 20% more crit multi per ward. You only need like 2,000 ward for this to be fully maxed out, and I was working on this. So that pretty much covers the passives. Let's go over the items. Prismatic Gaze, this is for our critical strike chance. Less damage taken is also quite nice here. You can get this with 2 LP fairly easily. Mantle of the Pale Ox, again for damage mitigation, movement speed, health, strength. It's just an insane piece of gear. Mad Alchemist Ladle. This one's very nice because it gives you a lot of cast speed based on your int, the mana gain on your int. It gives you access to frailty for absolutely free, armor shred on spell hit, so that you don't need any other source of armor shred at all if you get a high roll of this armor shred on spell hit, which goes up to 48%, which this one is maxed out. And it gives you more spell damage per negative element on the target, up to 8. So make sure that you have 8 elements on the target to get the maximum benefits from Mana Alchemist Ladle. This is like a more multiplier for the spark charges, so it just fits very well into the spark charge build. Fragment of the Enigma, bread and butter. You stack int, gives you +1 to lightning. Okay, +1 to lightning skills. We do not actually need it because we don't need that many points into lightning blast, right? I would also only use +2 to lightning blast here. So it doesn't matter if we are converting to cold and not getting this +1 skills, because this is not really the main reason that we want this one. So spark charge on hit, and spark charge explosion area. It's just like the bread and the core of the build actually. Nihilus, absolutely insane because of the mana regen specifically. Also gives you plus skills, more armor, all res, movement speed, health, mana. It's just absolutely insane. There are a lot of other options that you could go for here. For example, if you just start out, you could use just a regular amulet. It doesn't really matter. You can get some nice stats on it. You can use an Omnis to fix your res. You could use Nihilus. You could use Orin's Eye to get tankier. There's so many options you can use. I decided to go for Nihilus because I had a really, really nice one. Sorry. A really nice one with 50 increased mana regen on it, which you kind of want to have some mana regen to be able to sustain your lightning blast properly. Red rings, needs no introduction. Movement speed, less damage taken, all res, we're stat stacking. Right now I don't think I'm actually capped here. Probably because I removed one piece of gear somewhere. But eventually the build gets to have way more than 101 int, and you will get a damage reduction from this. So 2 red rings fixes your res alongside Nihilus and maybe a few idols. So this is going to be very good. Use slime intelligence here. The belt, you want to get this Spark Champion belt. Spark Champion will give you spell damage and a chance for Lightning Blast to change 4 additional times, which is just a nice extra damage boost for Lightning Blast. On here, I would want to have like basically as much health as possible for Reactive Ward and Twisted Heart, and then mana regen and maybe like lightning damage. Advent of the Erase, I guess, especially for hardcore, needs no introduction either. Up to 35% less damage over time taken while I have haste. Just absolutely amazing boot. There are many other options you can use here, like the Foot of the Mountain boots gives you all stats. Blood of the Exile gives you strength and int. There's a couple other options, but I think Advent of the Erase is just the best choice because of the damage mitigation. We'll try to get movement speed here and whatever else that is beneficial for the build. Grasp of the Blood Mage. This one with intelligence helps you cap your crit with the base spell critical attack chance. And finally, Twisted Heart of Eucharos for this one has again 20% increased health. This item has been nerfed many times and is still absolutely amazing. 20% increased health, strength, which is armor, increased cast speed, plus level to skills. You convert your health to ward when you directly cast an LA spell. Just a staple of last Epoch, and still very, very strong even in this patch. So there are other options here, which maybe not for my specific version of the build, but you could use Shattered Worlds. Shattered Worlds with Grasp of the Blood Mage would open up the helmet slot, which you could use for like basically any other helmet that would benefit the build. There are many other options, but my version decided to go with health stacking and Twisted Heart of Eucharos. And then for our idols, you fix your res. You grab here. There's you can get lightning damage. You're trying to get as much increased lightning damage as possible. And then there's a very nice enchant for dodge rating if you have been hit and critical strike avoidance. And that is why I decided to go with the blessing for crit avoidance and this one here, because of that specific reason, where you get to cap your crit avoidance quite easily, and you can invest more space for other idols and other items on your build, and like opens up affix slots. It's not the only way you can do it. You could go for less damage taken from crits. You could also go for here like all res blessing, but I decided to go with this. And that kind of pretty much covers up the items. So I think we talked about pretty much everything about this build now. We went over the items, we went over the gameplay, went over the passive, the skills. It just, in conclusion, I think this is like somewhere around top of B tier, bottom of A tier. Very fun to play. quite fast actually, especially if you use some faster boots. If you like Blood of the Exile, for example, or something like that, could be really, really nice to play with like lots of movement speed. You still maintain quite a bit of move speed even without it. Here I'm at 130. 130 with only Advent of the Erase boots. So you could easily reach over 150. I've been asked for this planner. Here it is. Here's the video. Try it out. Let me know what you think. I might do a written guide for this one as well. We didn't talk about the blessing actually, but the blessings are going to be self-explanatory in the build planner. So I guess that is it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I think I went a little bit more in depth with this one. There are lots of nice interaction, especially with the mirror images. A few bugs though. Bugs with the Pale Ox. Bugs with Innate Conduit. Hopefully those get fixed quite soon. But I hope you enjoy the deep dive into my Lightning Blast Runemaster. And I'll see you guys all in the next video.